If you're new to this channel, welcome. If you're not new, welcome back. Today we are going to be continuing on with our Laravel e-commerce series, and we're going to be working on building out more of our checkout system. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to add links to these buttons so that we can get to that page easily. Let's head into the text editor. So to get to that page, we need to first go to our order totals component. In this component, we have our first button here, which is the yellow button. And so now we can just put a colon here and add that route. We'll go ahead, copy this, and add this to our second button. Now we should be good to go. Let's check it out. Okay, if I hover, checkout, let's go ahead and click it. And now we are on the checkout page. Fantastic. So to set up Stripe, we actually need two different implementations for it. The first needs to be for the Laravel side, and the second needs to be for the Vue side, which is our front end. So how we would do that is first we would go to the Laravel documentation, and we are going to be using Laravel Cashier to handle the PHP side of it. And this is easily found. If you scroll down to the packages section, you see that Cashier Stripe is right here. That's what we'll be using. So Cashier is basically just an integration to make it easy for Stripe and our Laravel app to talk to each other and handle all of these functions. You can do different things like setting up customers, payment methods, subscriptions, just a whole bunch of different things. What we are going to be using are the single charges. We are going to create customers in our system, but we're not going to do it entirely the Cashier way. So what I want to do first is to install it. All we need for that is to go to Composer Require Laravel Cashier, copy that, head into our text editor, and then in here we can go ahead and paste in that command and let it run. Let's head back to the documentation. PHP Artisan migrate, which we already did, but it does have some migrations here. Now it says you can alter them, so I'm just going to copy these so that we can publish them. Go ahead, paste that in. And now we should have some new migrations. So let's take a look. So we're adding to our users table a Stripe ID, PM ID, PM last 4. Again, if you're doing trials, subscriptions, stuff like that, these would definitely be important to you. And the last one is the subscription items, which it would have the item and everything else in it. Let's go ahead and migrate this. And now we have our tables migrated. Fantastic. Now, if we scroll down a little bit, it says if you would like to prevent Cashier's migrations from running entirely. Well, we didn't actually get them in the first place, so I don't understand that, but that's fine. Let's continue on. The next step will add the billable model to the user model. Here we can just go to the user model. And right up here we can just use billable. Go up a little bit and make sure that was imported. And it was. Fantastic. Typically, you would put this billable in the user model. Cashier already assumes that that's where you're going to be putting it. So anything that you're going to be doing in terms of using Cashier with Stripe, whatever model you're using, you want to make sure that that billable model is used in conjunction with whatever your customer model is. So if we had a customer model and a user model, but we wanted our customer model to be in charge of all of our transactions, for whatever reason we wanted to separate them, then this would be an instance where you would want to specify where you're using it. Fantastic. So we also will be needing the Stripe key and the Stripe secret. So we'll copy that. We'll go to our .env. Okay, and all the way down at the bottom, we can just go ahead and temporarily paste that. Now, the other thing I want to do is, since we're using Stripe on the front end and the back end, I actually want to put these somewhere else. So if we go to the config services file, or the services file in the config, we want to add something down here that says Stripe. And this way we can anonymize it in our app. Okay, so here I'm just going to put key. And then we're going to use our environment, Stripe key, and then secret. This will help when we're using it in the controller. It'll be env stripe secret. Great. So now let's go over to Stripe and start working on the Stripe.js stuff. If you head over to stripe.com, and I'll make sure to put this link in the description along with the playlist so that you can go back and forth between the different episodes in this series. What you would want to do is you go to stripe.com, and it's pretty generic. I mean, there's a lot of information in here, but what you would need to do is to create an account. And I have one, but I'm going to create a new one for the demo. Make sure to put in your email. You want to put your country, create a password. Go ahead, create your account. Okay, it will want to send you a verification email, so I'll go ahead and check that real quick. Once you've gone ahead and verified your email, then you'll be brought straight to this page right from your email. And it'll ask you to activate payments or to skip for now. For now, we'll just skip it. This is your Stripe dashboard, and it's pretty simple. They give you your publishable key, your secret key. They give you different sections where you can take a look at all your payments, your transactions, if it's successful, refunded, uncaptured, failed, gives you all that information, fraud risk, all of these different things. And we are going to be using this in the developer mode so that none of these transactions actually go through. Now that we have our account set up, we can now go to stripe.com/docs/js. Again, I'm leaving these links in the description as they can be a little tricky to navigate around. So I'm just going to give it to you so that you can go ahead and take a look at it and see how you want to implement this. If you want to do it the same way, if you want to do it differently, just go ahead and explore the documentation and try it out and see what you like, see what you don't like. Fantastic. So we have the stripe.js reference basically saying, for us to be able to use this in the JavaScript way, we need the stripe.js library in order to be able to do that. So it can be integrated with React, I think with Angular, Vue, and some other things. One thing that we can do is to use the script source stripe.com. We would ordinarily be able to use it in our app.blade.php for our Laravel so that we can have the JavaScript. But because we're using Inertia and we're using Inertia on top of Vue.js, we don't really need to use this. So what we can do is use the module. This link right here, this check out the project on GitHub, will take you to this page right here. And this is Stripe.js. So all we would need to do from here is to copy this. It just pretty much gives you some information on how to bring it in a little bit easier without having to use that. But it is a wrapper around the Stripe package. So let's go ahead and install Stripe. We'll go ahead, paste that in. And now that's been installed. So now to use this in our app, we will need to import load Stripe from Stripe.js, and then we'll need to make a variable and do this whole little thing right down here. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that in the text editor. Before we do that, what I want to do is we need our Stripe keys. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. It just wouldn't be me if I didn't forget to do something really important. Okay, so head back to your Stripe dashboard, and then you're going to go to the developers tab right up here on the right, and then you're going to go to API keys. Here you will get two different keys, a publishable key and a secret key. The publishable key is what you're going to put in your Stripe key right here. And your Stripe secret will be this secret right here. I'm going to go ahead, pause the video, put my keys in, and I will see you in a bit. Now you should have your Stripe key in here. And something that you can also do too, which will make it a lot easier for us to use it on the front end, is to add, just like this mix pusher app key here, basically it just helps it to compile so that the JavaScript can be read from this .env file instead of us having to put the key on the front end. We can do mix stripe key equals, and then here just use your Stripe key. Fantastic. Now that that is all finally done, we can go ahead and load Stripe just like in the documentation. So we want to go to our checkout page and head down. And right under this link right here, we're going to import load Stripe from at stripe.stripe JS. And then let me just shrink this down. And in our data properties, we can go ahead and now add stripe. And this stripe will be an object. So now, under this data section here, we're going to have methods. And the first method is going to be an async. We're going to call it init stripe. For now, all we're going to do is say this stripe equals await load stripe. And we want to do process env mix stripe key so that we have access to the key from our environment file. And I'm just going to leave it like this for right now, just so we can test it out. Above this methods, we're going to put a lifecycle hook, and we're going to call this init stripe. So we should be able to see something on our browser right now. Let's go ahead and check it out. We go to our checkout page and we open up our inspect tools. We'll go ahead and refresh. Okay, missing value for stripe API key should be a string. Okay, let me see what I did wrong. Okay, we'll go ahead and restart our servers and see if that might be why. Getting any errors here, let's go and check the browser. So we are getting some Stripe stuff, which is fine. So we'll just continue on. You may test your Stripe integration and we'll work on getting rid of these errors at some point. So if we head into the Stripe page, we're in our dashboard. What we can do up here too is to, instead of having this as new business, we can add an account name. And since our project name or my project name is Coder Shop, I'm going to go ahead and add that here. Okay, and the cool thing about that is different accounts you have, you can just add them right to here. So if you have a different payment system or whatever, this way you can keep your account separate and keep some kind of organization for yourself. Fantastic. So now, we head over to the Stripe.js documentation and continue on. We'll go down. Basically, we're making async requests to the Stripe API. And what we want to do is we want to use elements. Elements will basically put that little card reader down at the bottom. I don't remember where we'll just keep scrolling down. I'm sure there's an example here somewhere. But it basically creates that credit card box that you'll see at the bottom. So we have elements. We can choose different ones. This will have what's in the element, so we'll have billing details, stuff like that.
A few moments later.
Why don't we just start using this and go ahead and get into it? Stripe is really robust. You can use it to either create it the way we're going to do it so that you just have a small little element, or you can also do it so that it has its own page. We're going to be doing it with just the card element. So now, in the index page, we're going to try to get this card to display. Under the return right here, I'm going to have another variable, and I'm going to call it card element. This is also going to be an object. Then I want another one under here, and I'm going to call it elements. And that's also going to be an object. Before we do style, before we do any of that, we can go ahead and start trying to get this to display. We've already initiated the Stripe. And so now we can do this elements equals this Stripe elements. This card element equals this elements create card. And then we want to mount the card. Now this card element, if you were to take a look at our template up here, right where we're displaying the card element, we have an ID with card element. This is a Stripe component so that we can get it to display right here. If we go back to the Stripe documentation and we go to stripe.com, docs, payments, elements, they have a newer payment element, which you can accept multiple payment methods securely, including cards, stuff like that. Wallet button, card element. This is the one that we're going to be using. You can also do an address element, link authentication element. It has different elements that you can just sort of plug into your app. I kind of want to try the payment element, but I think that I'm going to do the card element. What I'm going to do is I'm going to test out the payment element and see how I like it later on behind the scenes. But for now, we're just going to continue on using the card element since that's how I already have it pretty much set up. So if we go to the card element, you'll see here all it is really doing is asking for the credit card number, the expiration date, the CVC number, and then, you just go ahead and pay, and that's pretty much it. You can pre-fill the card details, you can do different things. This composer requires Stripe. We already pretty much did that when we brought in Cashier. And we're going to create a payment intent. This is all stuff that we're pretty much going to be doing so that you can get a better idea of what it looks like. Let's head back to the text editor. So we've initiated Stripe, we've added our elements, we've added the card element, and we've mounted it. Let's see if we can see that now. Okay, cool. So now we can see that. We will work on styling this. It doesn't really have any styling on it because we're using Tailwind, and Tailwind kind of strips out default styling. So we'll go ahead and take care of that now. So this card element has a really easy way of adding styles to its component. Basically, it's a base. You can add the font. You can check what kind of font smoothing, font size. You can specify which ones. If it's invalid, meaning there's an error with the card, it'll be in the same font and it'll be the color of red. The icon will be red as well. Now to bring this into the card element, we have to come down to this card element equals right here. And then we can just go ahead and add a comma, curly brackets, and we're going to define the style here, and we're going to call these style properties that we just added. So let's see what that looks like. So we have the font. Let's see if I go ahead and just put in a bunch of numbers. Okay, so we don't see anything yet. And the zip, I want to get rid of that from here because we are displaying it up here, and I do want to go ahead and also close that. The next thing we can also do is hide postal code, and we're going to set that to true. Stripe documentation has a very JavaScripty way of doing this, but I'm going to change it up and make it more view-friendly. If we go up to the card element that's being displayed right up here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put in a variable, and I'm going to call it card error. And then we're going to come down to data, and I'm going to put it here. Just going to leave it as an empty string. And then under this card element mount, I'm going to add this card element, add event listener, change. And I'm sure there are several ways that this can be done. I just want to do it this way. So now we're going to change this disabled to false, because remember, we have a disabled property on that button, which is set to true. So we're going to set it to false. And then we're going to say this card error equals event error. If there is an event error, okay, we'll do event error message. And if it's not, empty string. Let's give this a try. And we'll add the box and the other styling as well. I just want to get an error to display. Okay, so your card number is invalid. Fantastic. We have an error displaying. Now, I want to add more custom styling to this card element because we pretty much hit a wall on what Stripe will let us do with it. So in the text editor, right under the script tag, we're going to add style. Just going to go ahead and paste this in. And all this is doing is making that card error red for the text, and we're just honing in on those IDs, so the card error and the card element, and we're centering it, we're changing the font size, we're just giving it a little bit more of a Tailwind feel to it. Okay, let's go ahead, refresh it, and now you see we have that border, and now we have a much nicer looking error message. If you're enjoying the content, please go ahead and click that like button as it really does help out the channel. I'm going to leave links in the description, including the playlist, so that you can catch up on all of the videos in this Laravel e-commerce series. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.